Of the verse, this is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is a wonderful day. And the theme today is thankful for life. I don't know about you, but most every morning, the first thing that I do is I thank God for another day. I love mornings. I love to wake up and know that it's a new day. And with all of its opportunities and its possibilities. And I just get very excited first thing in the morning about what the day may bring. And I really do believe that for Christians, we should rejoice in the reality that God has given us life. And in that life, are opportunities to glorify his name. And so, we really should rejoice and joy in the constant, consistent example and enablement of Jesus Christ, who never changes. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And our joy being tied to him allows us to rejoice over and over and over. Because he never changes. So our circumstances have no bearing on truth. Our circumstances have no bearing on God's sovereignty and control. Our circumstances are mere opportunities to grow in our faith, to grow in our influence, to make a difference for the cause of Christ. But Jesus Christ will never change. Truth will never change. And so life has meaning and purpose, and we can trust the Lord for what he allows in our lives. And so today I really want to focus in on being thankful for life. I think it would be good for all of us to spend a little time today thanking the Lord for the life he's given to us. Well, in 3 John, John the Apostle is writing to a dearly beloved friend. His name is Gaius, and he says, I love him in the truth. This idea that Gaius held tight to truth, that Gaius lived out truth, that he was motivated by truth. Really, to some degree, even his life was defined by truth. And what a great example. And so he goes on in verse number 2 of 3 John and says, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. For I rejoiced greatly when the brethren came and testified of the truth that is in thee. Even as thou walkest in the truth, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. Certainly every parent could say the same thing, is that there would be no greater satisfaction to the parenting process than to see a product of children who are committed to truth, unchanging truth, and a commitment knowing that truth is not relative. It doesn't change according to circumstances, but that truth is constant, and therefore it is the governor of how we interpret and handle circumstances. No greater thing can parents do for their children than to teach them truth that never changes so that they can apply it to every life situation. And, John is writing to these groups of people, and certainly he is trying to encourage Gaius in his pursuit of hospitality, his pursuit of caring for those traveling teachers and preachers that would come through, and his support of them. And so he is going to write that. He's actually going to give an indictment against Diotrephes, because Diotrephes was in it for himself. Diotrephes was in it to make a name for himself. He was motivated by his own agenda. He had his own reasons for confrontation and contention. And it was stirring up trouble. And so John rebukes him basically because of this response to teachers and preachers who were traveling through. And so he goes on to say in verse number 5, Beloved, thou doest faithfully whatsoever thou doest to the brethren and to strangers, which have borne witness of the charity before the church. whom if thou bring forward on their journey after a godly sort, thou shalt do well, because that for his name's sake they went forth, taking nothing of the Gentiles. We therefore ought to receive such, that we might be fellow helpers to the truth. In other words, as these missionaries, as these preachers, as these teachers would come through, it wasn't like in America, it wasn't like in the 20th century or 21st century where they're making a living as they travel. These people didn't really have an income. They needed a place to stay. They needed somebody to feed them and help them along the way. And John just says, you know what, you do well if you care for them. And if you meet their needs, because you become a co-laborer in the pursuit of spreading truth. But then he gives the indictment. I wrote unto the church, but Diotrephes, who loveth to have the preeminence among them, receiveth us not. Wherefore, if I come, I will remember his deeds which he doeth, prating against us with malicious words, and not content therewith. Neither doth he himself receive the brethren, and he forbiddeth them that would, and casteth them out of the church. Beloved, follow not that which is evil, but that which is good. He that doeth good is of God, and he that doeth evil hath not seen God. Well, when it comes to life and truth for the Christian cannot be separated. Our life is really about the presentation of Jesus Christ, who is the truth. Our lives ought to reflect his character. And as we grow in grace, we should look less like ourselves, be motivated to present ourselves, and more motivated to present the character of Christ. We should make much of Jesus Christ and the truth that embodies him. And so as we look at Diotrephes, boy, we don't want to be in this life for ourselves. We don't want to be using malicious words to discredit and diminish the influence of godly people just so that people will think what we want them to think about us. There's a much bigger picture, and life will never be about us. It's all about God and truth and the spreading of truth. And so as we take time today to just thank God for life, let's remember that part of that life is the privilege to present Jesus Christ, to reflect his character, to be an influence of truth. Boy, if there is something that America, that the world needs today, it's some examples of truth. It's some people willing to stand with boldness and courage on truth, and desire above all things to present truth to a world that so desperately needs it. That is life. What a privilege. May we thank God for our life, for our health, for that which he has given to us in a privilege to represent him. May God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.